All right, let's try this again. How's everybody doing? Yeah, waiting to, who knows, man? Tech just happens, and, I saw my screen kind of freezing up a little bit. So I had to restart everything, and you know how it goes. Just technology and all that. Anyway, for those who may not know, my name is Paul, and I'll be your DM for a little while. I'm here live just to answer some Dungeon Master questions. I have been a Dungeon Master for well, can't say that. I've been playing role playing games since 81, 83, somewhere around there. It's been 40 years. It's been a long time. And so I am a professional game master. I run games over on Roll20. I run games over on at my local game store. I work with therapists. I'm a therapeutic game master as well, so I work with therapists to help their clients in using role-playing games as a intervention for whatever they may need. And so tonight, and we're going to be just answering a few questions and give you an update on my role playing, because I came out pretty strong at the beginning of the year, and said I wanted to play. I wanted to play 12 different games, and I at least one a month. I have failed at that completely. I just want to let you know I have failed at that, but I feel like I've had some successes. So let me just get into that before I start answering questions. So the games that I said I wanted to play was Symbaroum, Pathfinder 2, the Alien RPG, the One Ring, not the 5e version, the One Ring, Soulbound, which is a Warhammer game, Esper Genesis, Avatar Legends, Monster of the Week, Castles and Crusades, and Anime 5e. I have done 2 of those. And the 2 that I have done is I was actually able to run Pathfinder 2 and Esper Genesis. Esper Genesis, if you're not familiar with the game, I really enjoy it. In fact, my players have requested. I said, well, I did a one-shot with them, and they said, well, we'd like to play that again. So they are really kind of getting into the Esper Genesis. Now, they can change their mind on a dime. I'm flexible every week. I ask them that when we've reached a point, I'll say, what do you guys want to do now? We've finished an arc, or we've done a 2-parter, or, whatever you guys want to do. And they said they would like to play Esper Genesis again. So I said, great. So we're continuing that this week. That's my Friday night game that I play with my friends that I've been playing with since 1983. And so we've been gaming on and off together for 40 years, and we're going to game for another 40 if I can muster it. But yeah, and so Esper Genesis is really good. I enjoy it. I think the maps on Roll20 need a little help. Be nice, but I bet you they've advanced that a little bit. If I play some games a little later, I bet you they've dressed up their maps a little bit, so I'll have to check that out. Their maps are pretty bare bones, which is, I don't think that's bad. It's just not pretty to look at, like a lot of fantasy maps, things like that. So I think these being the first ones, how always the first ones are kind of, they're not always the prettiest or the best or whatever, but I think if we continue to play, I think the maps are going to get better. Although I will say this, that when you're playing science fiction, at least in the game maybe we're playing, scarcity might be okay. It's a little sparse, right? But that's okay. It doesn't have to be, all bells and whistles, and you don't have to have, every desk and every, potion here, and it doesn't have to be all that. Just want some basic stuff, and it's good enough for that. The other thing, like I said, I ran Pathfinder 2 for my friends, and they enjoyed that. They enjoyed Pathfinder 2, and I enjoyed running it. I know there's lots of chit chat about the complexity, and once again, as you get higher in levels, as I understand, once again, I've played Pathfinder 1E, so I understand. I'm playing in a Pathfinder 1E game right now. I'm playing against the Giants actually once a month, and I can see, but you know what? I can see where the complexity comes in. But for our games, at least in 1E, they're perfectly fine. I've run it. I've run Pathfinder 1E, and I've played in it, so I understand that. I don't think it's. I mean, the fights are long. They are a bit of a trudge uphill sometimes. but I didn't really feel that, at least lower levels of Pathfinder 2. I'm sure as we level up, we'll go there. But like I said, my players, the guys I play with, are not, they're just murder hobos. They don't, they don't care. This is play. We're gonna play. Throw something in front of us, and we're gonna go out. They're not gonna. Most of them are not gonna spend a ton of time, min-maxing their characters and creating all this chaos. We tend to, settle rules on the fly like everybody else. We just go to the table and say, okay, what do you guys want to do about this? And we make a ruling and we go on because, these guys, as much as they are murder hobos, they do like a cohesive story. So we try to keep that in perspective as well. Other games that I'm playing, I run games on a Saturday. I've been playing almost a year with a group that came in. I think it was a learn to play, I want to say. And I've been playing with this group for a year now. There's some people moving away and getting out, but it's almost a year. September would have been a year. And I've played all kinds of stuff with them. I played the Grendelroot, a bunch of adventures from Grendelroot with them, which is Sly Flourish's stuff, Mike Shea. And then I also got to, because one of the players, his story arc, his character story arc was pirates. So I've already fulfilled, I think, 3 out of the 4 players. They did a story arc, and I had them fill out cards and say, what do you like to see your character do? What would you like to see happen? And so they wrote down, and one said about vampires, so we did a vampire thing, and then they did one of them is a pirate, has a pirate background, so now we're doing pirates. One just had some goals to get a sword, and they wound up getting a sword. I totally forgot about that, and so when she got the sword, her character got the sword, it was kind of like wow, okay, well that just happened. That was awesome. But that pirate one is from this Dungeon in the Box. You guys have seen me do some videos for this, so I've dove into it, and it's a good adventure. It has a lot of depth to it. It has a lot of hooks and things that you can get into, exploration. And I don't know if you remember seeing the model that was in here. It was a giant hermit crab in a dragon's skull. Well, I went ahead and painted it, but it wasn't quite finished. So I had my friend, Dustin, who is at our local gaming store. He paints models. I said, buddy, can you just hit this for me? I painted it white. I said, but it needs some help. And so we wound up doing this. Here's the hermit crab, as you can see here. This was a lot of fun, by the way. Our players, look, if you put this in front of a player, one of the players figured out how to ride this thing and control it. He put a bunch of beef jerky out here. He's got up on the skull, put a bunch of beef jerky out there, and just led this thing around the dungeon there, around the temple that we're in. You got to hand it to him. They get a bonus point for that. They get a hero point, right? They get a point of inspiration. But anyway, this is the other side. This is the skull part, and my friend Dustin did a remarkable job painting. I think he did a really super duper job. Really fun model to have. So, all right. So that is my news update as far as the games I'm playing. There is a game, by the way, if you were interested. I have a game coming up this Saturday, which is Frozen. It's from the Wildemount book, the 5e Wildemount book. There's a adventure in there called Frozen, and this will be the second game. So if anybody's interested in playing that, is interested in playing in kind of the Critical Role world of Wildemount, then you can go ahead. I'll put a link down to the game down below after the live stream here, and then you can check that out for yourself if that is a game you would like to play in. All right, and like I said, I'm going to get into the questions. So if you have any questions for me, if you have any Dungeon Master questions, things of that nature, feel free to drop those in the chat and let me know what you're thinking, because I will answer your questions if you have any. And so let's go ahead and jump into the questions. So question number 1 I have here is, what do you do when an adventure has long travel days? Right? So let's say it's going to take you 2 weeks to get to somewhere. What do you do with that? I mean, do you roll encounters every day? Do you? I mean, it's crazy. I don't know about you, but it drives me nuts when writers, creators put these long spans of time. It takes you long to get there. When clearly it's you have already know their mission, and now they have these 2 weeks of doing things. And it's true. There's two things, and I will tell you this about Wildmount that comes out. They put something in there where I think takes 2 weeks, 2 weeks to get across the water to go to a location. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do 2 weeks. I mean, you can, but you don't want to roll every day and say, well, is something popping out of the water? Is the ship? Now, I will say this, on something like that, you could put the thing where maybe maybe there's a disease on board, maybe there's a depletion of resources, maybe something happens where food is running out for some reason, maybe there's a mutiny, something like that can happen on the ship. But I don't want to roll up encounters for 2 weeks worth of encounters and just roll every day. If you just want to put it in there, put it in there. But to me, if you want to go ahead and have a 2 week journey, just call it a 2 week journey, and just do an open sandbox deal, and say, okay, it's going to take you 2 weeks to get here. You'll find out what your mission is when you get here. You can do a little pre-story, but you're going to get here, and make the first couple of game sessions exploration of the world. But I don't want to interrupt. I see it as an interruption, right? I see that 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, we got 2 weeks. These guys want to get to where they're going and do the thing, right? So I'm like, listen, we're just going to go ahead and we'll truncate that, or we'll do something fun. It'll be, like I said, like if it's on a ship, it'll be a mutiny or a lack of resources, or the food's gone bad, or you're doing some health checks or something like that, to kind of squeeze the players in a little bit, to kind of give them a little bit of that world feeling, the real world feeling for their characters, that they're going through a thing, that they're on a ship, and here's some things will happen on this ship, seasickness, that kind of stuff, right? But like I said, if you do it open world or sandbox, then you can have players explore the world that you're in. You can have them go here, there, and yonder, and be able for them to discover things and have exploration and have these encounters and learn more about the world. I think that's the way I'd like to use them. But many times, like I said, writers and so forth put these journeys in there in the middle of the story for whatever reason, when you're supposed to get to somewhere. It's like you're almost like saying, okay, well, we're off mission for a little while and we're going to go take this boat trip. The other one is in Hoard of the Dragon Queen. There's a caravan thing in there, and I'm not going on, it's a week's journey, and I'm like, you could play 2 sessions of that, because I know look, there's lots of role play, there's lots of those things, but what I would say is, well, why not just have the caravans, put the caravan at the beginning of the adventure to where you're traveling and you want to build up into it, versus the adventure starts off with a dragon attacking a city, which is great. It's a fast start, but then everything slows down to a crawl when you're doing this 2 week or 1 week. You got to get in the caravan, and now you're role playing and all those things. So for me, it's either shorten the days to where it's only a couple of days to travel to wherever you're going. And once again, based on your players too, maybe your players love exploration. They don't mind it. My players, I'm only speaking for my players, who's like, well, I don't want to do 2 weeks of, doing all that. I just want to kind of get where we're going. And so, check, feel your players out and say, look, do you guys want to do some exploration? Do you want to, some of these things? Do you mind these long journeys? And find out from them and see whether or not it's, if that's the thing they want to do. Because otherwise, if they're wanting to get where they want to go and you're saying, nope, we're taking 2 weeks journey on this boat, or 1 week we're doing this, and they're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Can we not get there? So that's question number 1, is, like I said, I think journeys like that, when you have long journeys there, either shorten them up or put them at the beginning for exploration so they can get to know the world. or just use it, or just use these journal, or just take them out completely and just go on to the next thing. If it doesn't impact the story, I don't think being on the ship for 2 weeks or in the caravan for a week impacts the story. It's an opportunity for role play, yes. It's an opportunity for a little bit of exploration and all that, but my goodness, I can't roll the dice every day and say, oh, this is what happens today and this is what happens today. They would just take forever. That's me as a DM, and it's my players as well. I don't think they want to do that, but like I said, check with your players. All right, number 2, should I, the DM, the question is, should I be keeping track of money and resources? And the answer is no. That is your player's responsibility. Don't allow your players to push on you what is their responsibility. If they don't know they have it, if they don't know that they have how much money they have, or if they don't know what their resources are, then they don't know. It's okay to remind them. I'm not saying be a jerk about it. I'm saying you can, don't you guys have this, or don't you guys have that, or didn't you pick this up here? You can, nothing wrong with throwing some hints out there. But as far as keeping track of things, that is a player's responsibility. Okay, so don't allow players to push that on you. You have enough to do. You're the DM. You're trying to do other things. If they need to have a resource sheet, then go ahead and print off like a resource sheet, right? Things like their rations. Like I said, my players don't do rations. I mean, unless the scenario calls for it, where you are just if you're going to do that, then yes, make sure you tell your players at the beginning, keep track of your rations, keep track of your other supplies. There's, once again, there's games, especially like OSR games, things like that, depending how fiddly you want to be with it, right? There's the ones where you got to keep track of your ammo, keep track of your arrows, keep track of whatever it is you're using. And that's okay. I appreciate that. If that's the game style that your players want to play, that's great. But you as the DM have to remind them, here's a resource sheet to keep track of all those things. And I usually have one person. I try to get one person to track and be the keeper of, whatever it is they have, and say, they're the party, what do they call that? I can't remember the name of the thing. Like you do it in a ship. Let me know in the comments if you know what that is. I can't remember the supply person in the military that takes care of all those things. But anyway, that's the one person who takes care of all that stuff. Don't let the players put that on you. If they don't know, they don't know. That's, they're just going to have to figure it out and go from there. All right, third and final question. How should I prep for a session? Well, that depends. That depends on the kind of session you're doing. If you're doing a one-shot, well, I'll take that back. I think that some preparation should be the same whether you're doing a campaign or you're doing a one-shot. I think you got to, take notes. I take my adventure notes. I make sure I write down all my NPCs that I'm going to have. I have those nearby. I have a list of names, that I'm going to use for NPCs or whatever. I'm going to have the treasure. I have these little treasure cards that I use that I hand out. I don't think I have any near me at the moment, but I sell those over on Drive Through RPG. If you're interested, I'll put a link down there. But I fill out all my cards on that, and then I have them in front of me, so when they discover something, I hand it to them, and that way they have it as a physical representation of what that is. I think if you're playing 5e, or it doesn't matter if you're playing 5e, but I mean, I think they have those cards, those magic item cards. You can have those as well to be able to hand out to your players. But yeah, as far as prep goes, I would just make sure you got your NPCs. The story yourself. There's a lot of DMs who do not prep well, and their game shows it because they've not read through the whole story. If you're great at improv, if you're great at just doing it, go at it. But me, and I'm good at improv to that degree, but I still believe in a time of preparation where I got to know the whole story. I got to think through, what if they do this, right? I have a bunch of what ifs. What if they don't go here? Where are they going to go? What if they, are overwhelmed? Or what if, and write down 2 or 3 what ifs, when you're thinking through the story. that your players could take a turn somewhere. Well, what if they want to do more exploration? Where am I going to send them? What if they want to do more combat? What am I going to do for that? What if they want more role play? How am I going to do that? So I would just write down some what ifs, just to kind of cover your bases, just in case your players go rogue on you. Another thing is I try to make sure my maps, if I have maps, make sure they're ready. I try to make sure that I have extra dice, pencils, paper, figures, make sure all my figures, and I have a case that I carry with me, and I think that's somewhere. I think I'll put a link somewhere down up here or down there where I have a case that I have. So I go and check my case, open up my case, I make sure I got the minis, the monsters that I have in there. And then I make sure I have other little things, like if I don't have enough tokens or whatever, I make sure I have that. Those are all the things that I put into my prep because I want to be, there's nothing worse for me and my players, especially those that are paying me, right? And this goes for digital as well as physical. I'm in there, I'm in Roll20, making sure everything is working, making sure I'm just double checking. I am, making sure everything is where it's supposed to be. My maps are ready. Do I need any extra things on there? So whether it's physical or digital, I think your preparation has to be in there. And that means you have to give up as a DM. You have to be able to give up some things, whether that's watching Netflix or, whatever you're doing, you've got to put the time into the gameplay to be able to make sure that the game experience is what it's going to be. Like I said, if I have my first 2 or 3, two encounters maybe, if I feel really prepped for that, then I feel like I can go anywhere with it. But if I'm going to just come blazing in and I think I'm just going to show up and just throw books out and we're going to do whatever, I can't do that. That drives me crazy because I really want to be a prepared person when I show up for a game. When I show up to, especially DM, as a player, I want to be that way. That reminds me, I have to update my first 1E character, Pathfinder 1E character for this Thursday. I got to fix that. But do you guys have any questions? I notice there's a few of you guys in here, so welcome. Any questions from you? Put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and close out. But I like to think, that having these times, I enjoy them. I enjoy having these live sessions. I hope that you enjoy them. Be sure to leave comments down below. If you're brand new, if you've never been and seen my channel before and you would like to subscribe, well, then I welcome you to subscribe. And be sure to click the like button if you like videos like this. And if you have questions for the next live, if you don't have any questions, DM questions now, go ahead and leave your questions there below, and I'll cover them in the next live stream. But anyway, that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching, hanging out with me for a little while, and I will catch you guys in the next live stream. So you guys all have a great evening, and we will talk to you guys later. Be good, everybody.